Hey guys, and welcome to the video. We're going to be discussing a contradiction in the amount of views reported for the Ahsoka show, from Disney saying it had 14 million views, compared to Samba, the tracking firm, which totals the views at just 1.2 million. So strap into your starships as we warp speed into the space of confusion that surrounds the Ahsoka viewership numbers. But before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and stay up to date with all of the movie and streaming news we have going on around. So guys, we're going to be jumping into this Bounding into Comics article. Analyst declares the Walt Disney Company media spin machine is in full force after the company claimed Ahsoka brought in 14 million views globally for the first episode. Yeah guys, so this is my second day in a row making another video about Ahsoka. We talked yesterday about Ahsoka's viewership numbers being pretty abysmal with just 1.2 million views. And now Disney have come out and said that the first episode had 14 million views. So there seems to be some contradiction in the numbers for the Ahsoka show, so we're going to dive into this article here guys and see if we can clear up some of the confusion as to what's going on. So, financial and box office analyst Valiant Renegade declared the Walt Disney Company was putting out some major spin when they announced that their latest Star Wars Disney Plus series brought in 14 million views globally. So yeah, they used some sort of complicated backward math to try and say that Ahsoka's had 14 million views. We'll go into it a little bit in the article, but yeah, they kind of try to spin it to, obviously upsell the fact that it had 14 million viewers when it didn't really. They just want to kind of put the PR spin on it and make it look better than it actually is. And yeah, classic Disney kind of like propaganda, basically. The official StarWars.com website announced in a blog post, quote, Lucasfilm and Walt Disney Company are thrilled and humbled to announce that Part 1 of Ahsoka, Master and Apprentice, was the most watched title on Disney Plus last week. The debut episode garnered 14 million views, making the series #1 globally on the streaming platform. Lucas president Kathleen Kennedy, oh god, whenever you say that name, you just want to groan, basically. So Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy added, quote, Ahsoka has become a fan favorite with people of all ages, and it's wonderful to see her continue to resonate with viewers in her very own headlining series. I do agree with her to a point. I think Ahsoka is a pretty cool character, and it was cool of her to, to get her own show in a way. So, quote, I want to recognize the fantastic work done by our creative team, led by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, the incredible cast led by Rosario Dawson. I struggle to say that name. Rosario Dawson, there we go. And our talented crew, and just on behalf of the team and all of Lucasfilm, we give our thanks to all the fans who have been with Ahsoka on every step of her journey, and to all of those who are just learning about her now in Ahsoka on Disney+, blah blah blah, PR spin, talk rubbish, no one cares. This post came after it was reported by the third-party data tracking firm, Samba TV, that Ahsoka's viewership in the United States was far worse than the previous Star Wars Disney Plus series, with the exception of Andor. Andor is a fantastic show. It's probably one of the best things that Star Wars has put out in recent years, apart from the first series of Mandalorian. But yeah, you could argue which one of those is the best. But guys, if you haven't seen Andor, make sure you go and watch Andor. It's really good. So, as we can see here, Samba TV reported, Ahsoka was only watched by 1.2 million US households over its first 6 days. And obviously we can see the tweet here, the latest new Star Wars series, Ahsoka, finally hit screens with 1.2 million US households watching over its first 6 days. This is similar to the viewership of Andor premiere season, and slightly lower than The Mandalorian's third season premiere over its first 6 days. 1.2 million US households watched the premiere of Ahsoka. Okay, this was far less than the previous premieres, such as The Mandalorian Season 3, which they noted drew in 1.6 million US households. So the premiere episode of... Oh, that's my phone alarm. The premiere episode of Season 3 of The Mandalorian did better than the first episode of Ahsoka. 1.6 for the Season 3 Episode 1 of Mandalorian. It was also below Obi-Wan Kenobi, which they reported bringing in 2.14 million US households in its first 4 days streaming on Disney+. Yeah, it was a shame because the Obi-Wan show, oh my god, I had such high hopes for that because obviously, Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan is probably like the best character that Star Wars has had since the original trilogy. And yeah, man, he's so good in that role. And it was they had some good parts to that series. The last fight where he fought against Darth Vader, that was an incredible fight scene where he slashes the mask and then he's talking to Darth Vader. Like, that was incredible. But the rest of the show was kind of a bit hit and miss. It also fell below The Mandalorian Season 2 and The Book of Boba Fett. The outlet reported that The Mandalorian was watched by 2.8 million US households, and The Book of Boba Fett was watched by 1.5 million in their first 4 days. So yeah, we can see here, 2.14 million US households watched the premiere of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the first 4 days. So, Valiant Renegade reacted to Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company's announcement of the 14 million views by first questioning Samba TV changing their metric from 3 to. Let me start that again. Valiant Renegade. Sorry, guys, I've got a bit of a dry mouth, so bear with me. Valiant Renegade reacted to Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company's announcement of the 14 million views by first questioning Samba TV changing their metric from 3 or 4 days with shows like Obi-Wan Kenobi to 6 days with Ahsoka. So, while Samba TV had an answer, this actually has more to do with when the episodes are released and when we typically run data through the weekend, since a lot of viewership happens then. The company then shared 6-day numbers for both Andor and The Mandalorian Season 3, with Andor clocking in 1.2 million and The Mandalorian coming in at 1.7 million. So yeah, the tweet here basically saying this actually has more to do when the episodes are released. We typically run the data through the weekend and a lot of viewership happens then. We issued some update 6-day comps for Andor and Mando and Ahsoka this week. So Andor Season 1 Episode 1 had 1.2 million. Mando Season 3 Episode 1 had 1.7 million. So in a follow-up, they revealed that Obi-Wan Kenobi clocked in at 2.4 million, double that of what the firm was reporting for Ahsoka. Yeah, so that's quite surprising. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I guess he's a more beloved character and people know more of, obviously, Ewan McGregor because he's established within the lore. We've seen him on screen before. So he's a well-loved character, whereas Ahsoka's a new character coming in. People haven't seen her in live action before. So yeah, it's a bit different, I guess. So, Mando Season 2 and Obi-Wan both measured at 4 days, with Ahsoka now at number 6. Obi-Wan came in at 2.4 million US households over its first 6 days. I don't have Mando Season 2 handy though. Okay. So, reacting to this information, Valiant Renegade stated, Ahsoka has now officially performed at half of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and from, as best as we can tell, half of the 6-day total that would be the Season 2 premiere of Mandalorian from a couple of years ago. He then shared, quote, what's interesting about this is that over time, the Walt Disney Company has added nearly 50% more subscribers to the Disney Plus service, going from around 30 million when Mando Season 2 premiered to today, where there is about 45 million subscribers. Later he states, quote, so as Disney Plus subscribers have been going steadily up over the last several years, the overall trend in viewership for Disney Plus's core content, as Bob Iger calls it, that being both Star Wars and Marvel for the matter, have been steadily on decline. Yeah, so like what's going on? So their subscriber base is going up, but yet the watch numbers are going down. So that kind of tells you that the correlation is that, you know, people are continuing to join Disney Plus, but the viewership for these shows is going down. And, you know, people are just losing faith in both Marvel and Star Wars, and it's just on the decline, guys. And they've got to do something to get back, you know, they've got to get back the confidence of the audience. So from there, Valiant Renegade took a look at the press release for Star Wars announcing their 14 million global views for the first episode. He reacted, quote, that does not seem terribly impressive considering if we go back and look up the numbers that were reported for places like Warner Brothers and even Amazon, where Game of Thrones, The House of Dragon and The Rings of Power, those numbers were sharply better than Ahsoka was. Matter of fact, Warner Brothers was touting 10 million views in the United States alone for the premiere of The House of Dragon just on its opening night, and over the first week it rose to 20 million views. And those numbers were backed up by Nielsen, which suggests those were in fact only in North America. In a press release, Warner Media announced House of Dragon drew in 9.9 million viewers across linear and HBO Max platforms in the US. Sunday night, the largest audience for any new original series in the history of HBO. By the series finale, Warner Brothers Discovery stated all episodes of the series are now averaging 29 million viewers in the US, more than tripling their average debut night audience with strong catch-up viewing. Prime Video announced in a press release that The Rings of Power attracted more than 25 million global viewers on its first day, breaking all previous records, marking it the biggest premiere in the history of Prime Video. Yeah, but this is Lord of the Rings. Like, Lord of the Rings is like the best IP ever. I think that, in my personal opinion, I think that Lord of the Rings is better than Star Wars. If I had to choose one of the two, I would choose Lord of the Rings over Star Wars, I think. But Star Wars is pretty close behind. It's a phenomenal IP. But it's just a shame that people are beginning to lose confidence in the Star Wars IP, and it's hard to see. And obviously, Rings of Power wasn't well received either, and people are, you know, not so hot on season 2 of Rings of Power either. And it kind of sucks that people are losing confidence in these IPs because, you know, they're so great, and there's so much depth and lore with these IPs that could be tapped into. So Valiant Renegade then took a look at how the Walt Disney Company claims that it arrived at the 14 million viewer number. He began, quote, "According to Disney, this view is a view in this count is defined as a total stream time divided by runtime available. Nielsen measures watch time in terms of minutes watched, and then we can take an episode's runtime and say 30 minutes or 45 minutes, divide that into a total watch time, and comes up with a relatively good idea of how many total watchers watch the show, given that every time a person watched the show completely one time." What? This is like, what the heck? Nielsen measures watch time in terms of minutes watched, and then we can take an episode's runtime and say 30 minutes or 45 minutes, divide that into the total watch time, and then come up with a relatively good idea of how many total viewers watch the show, given that every person watched the show completely one time. Okay. What's odd here is that why does Disney have to do it that way? That's exactly what I was just thinking. They don't. This is a direct-to-consumer programming, meaning that you have to log into a if I can say that word, proprietary Disney service to watch this show. Every time you log in and click a show to watch, a little counter goes off at Disney somewhere. Yeah, that's true. So every time, it's like YouTube. Every time someone clicks on your video, you know that someone's watched it because it comes up with a viewer count on your analytics. And I'm sure somewhere at Disney, they have a big analytics screen and they can watch the viewer count every time someone clicks on something. So meaning you log on to proprietary Disney service to watch the show. Every time you log in and click a show to watch, a little counter goes off at Disney somewhere. Yeah, surely it does. They know who's watching what. They know exactly how many views that given program has at any given time, he explained. Exactly. So why have they got to do all this strange, like, watch time divided by this and divided by that and plus this and minus that? And, you know, it's... Anyway, I digress. Yeah, guys, they want to add all this complicated, you know, dividing this by watch time and doing this because they want to obviously upsell the view figures to make it look more popular than it was. So Valiant Renegade then questions, so why then do they have to use this metric as opposed to just telling us how many views it got? Because they don't want to, because they'd be embarrassed by the amount of views it got, that's why. He added the other side of this too, is that we don't know how many of those views were duplicative, meaning did we actually have 14 million individual householders watch this content, or did we have 7 million households around the world that watched the episode twice? Exactly, you just don't know. They're very, what's the word? They're very sort of like classified when it comes to how they get their viewing figures, and you know they don't want to reveal the information properly because they just want to upsell the viewer figures to make it look better. And classic Disney, you know, Disney spin on stuff. What do you make of Lucasfilm claiming that Ahsoka received 14 million views globally for just its first episode? What do you make of this in comparison to Samba TV's reporting that the series only garnered actually 1.2 million views? So there's a massive discrepancy here between what Disney is saying and what Samba TV, the reporting firm, is saying. What do you make of this, guys? Do you think this is just like the Disney PR firm just upselling the amount of views it got just to get more people on board? And do you think they're just kind of lying about it just to complicate things? Or do you think Samba TV may have got their figures wrong? I'd love to hear what you have to say about this, guys. It's really kind of interesting looking behind the scenes of how streaming works and how they get their viewership numbers. And yeah, it's very, very strange how Disney sort of totals this all up. But I'd love to hear what you have to say about this, guys. What do you think? Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.